Hey there, Virgo. Welcome to your August 2020 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. Happy birthday to those people who are born in August. I always love the month of August. It can be kind of bittersweet, though, because it is the last month of the summer. It's kind of weird, thinking of Australia, New Zealand, places like that. God, to imagine August being winter is just weird to me. I can't even wrap my brain around that. But like, I live in the Chicago area, and when the place that I normally swim is Lake Michigan, and it's pretty unswimmable until August because it's so cold, the water. Although this year we've had so many hot days that I have a feeling it's a lot more temperate even in July, but I haven't been able to get down there yet. It was closed off for a long time, but that's another story. Don't get me started on that. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, just collecting the rest of these cards. Okay, where the heart of the matter is the King of Swords. So typically what I see with this, you can even see it kind of in his face, like it's like a poker face. But I almost see, like, I'm looking at it up close, almost like, I can almost see like sadness in his eyes in a way. That, of what could have been about a certain situation. But, no, I can't think about that. Right now I have to do what I have to do. So making a decision, maybe tugging on the heartstrings, but it's like almost becoming like ice. Now, Queen of Swords, there might be more acknowledgement of the emotions. This is more, it's almost like emotionally cut off. And that can, to me, that can happen when a person has had so much that they've had to deal with. So much nonsense, emotional upheaval. Virgos don't do well with a lot of that kind of stuff. It just isn't what you want to deal with. So it's kind of like this nuisance. And, I mean, this may be another person who is like this, who's emotionally cut off. And so in that particular case, even if you don't have an emotional... When I say everybody has emotions, what I'm saying is that your life is not based on your emotions. It's much more based on the intellect. For an earth sign, you're ruled by Mercury, so there's that sense of logic and, constructive ideas that you are all about. And that is fine, but you may be dealing with somebody, maybe this is like an air sign that's even more so like abstract in the mind. Gemini is the obvious one that I see with Virgo. You're both mutable signs ruled by Mercury, but you've got the possibility of Libra and the possibility of Aquarius. And it's like, as much as you may be kind of down to earth and not that emotional, this person is, takes you a step further. And it may feel like there's no love left there. And this is kind of reflected by the past position. The Four of Cups, maybe they're still offering their version of love and you're stone faced. You're like, whatever. And it might even be kind of like, I was also feeling this sense of like too much has happened, and you're just kind of done because of that. It's like it just keeps, one grievance piled on top of another has just led to this feeling of like indifference, perhaps. And if this is in the workplace, you might feel too that this person, like let's say it's a boss, that they never really praised you. They never gave you positive strokes, and you really need that because Virgos tend to be perfectionists, and they tend to be hard on themselves too as perfectionists, and that can lead to sensitivity and criticism, because being, having it pointed out that you're not perfect can be very traumatic. I have the moon in Virgo, so I understand that. And it can be a little bit touchy. But this is far beyond that. This is somebody who may withhold praise as a power tactic. And maybe they're just like so cut off from their feelings. I could say especially like an Aquarius, that they may not even realize that it's having an adverse impact on one of their employees, namely you. But it could be other people that are dissatisfied too. And so you have, kind of maybe to cope with it, you've tuned out emotionally. Well, the higher message is the Eight of Wands, which is actually really good, because it's almost like there's this sense of a lull in your life, and then all of a sudden everything comes alive. So as the higher message, if this is a job situation that you're talking about, and you really feel like you can't, it's just not the right time to leave for whatever reason, then perhaps you will find that opportunity just explodes. Now, you are having a new moon in your sign actually in mid-September, like around 17th of September, so maybe that will be more of the catalyst for that. The next fire sign, well, maybe even sooner, the Leo new moon is on August 18th, but if that's going to be in your 12th house. So that is not necessarily moving forward. That might just be something that is more related to your inner self. Speaking of which, this is the card that crosses you, the Hermit card, which you are. Isn't that funny? But I will say this. Yeah, and this, I actually had this thought when I was looking at that King of Swords. The Hermit card is about looking within, right? It's soul searching. And there's that star. That's your guiding star, the North Star, I guess what they call it. And that may be even like what you want to do with your life. Like the North Node, what your North Node is in. And the thing is with this, though, is that with the King of Swords, there can be this complete, it's almost like a stubbornness in a sense, where you have made up your mind of what something is about in your life. And it may not be the case at all, but it's like you cling to this idea because maybe it makes you feel more like you have everything worked out. But the bottom line is that there might be something going on that is really not what you should be doing, but you have made up your mind and now you're not going to deviate from the path. I would say this is particularly the case if you have a lot of inner planets in Leo, because that's a fixed sign, like Mars in Leo, and you tend to be that type of person. Virgo, that you have a hard time once you make up your mind, or if your Mercury is in the ruler, your ruler Mercury, is in, Leo, fixed sign, where you just become fixated on something and you just refuse to budge, or if Mercury is in conjunction with Pluto or something like that. And those kinds of things that can make it so that you are very mentally stubborn, even though you are a mutable sign. So this is one of the interesting things about when we interpret charts, is that there are oftentimes contradicting elements within the personality. And it doesn't mean, oh, see, that just shows astrology is BS, because you have this and you have that and they contradict each other. No, it could be a paradox. It could be that the person's very complicated. They're even, confused about their own motives sometimes. And so if you've made up your mind about something and you're not allowing your emotions, which also involve your intuition, to take root, it's too much in the mind. The Hermit, because it is connected to the spiritual side of life, is about the intuition, which is the third eye. That is not the mundane mind. Okay? When we talk about consciousness, that is not the mundane mind or the intellect. The intellect can, the consciousness can affect the intellect for sure. And people that are of a lower consciousness may be reflected in their intellect, where they're not that bright, or they're not that insightful, and things like that. However, there may be people who are very humble and very simple in their mentality or their intellect, and maybe they're not like this genius IQ, but they're very spiritual people. So it doesn't necessarily correlate, but it can, just like anything else in life. It can and it might not. But in this case, if you cling to the world and the proof from the world, then it can close you off to so much more about life. And this may be what's happening, that you're not really, into the wisdom. You're just into the intellect. And that can certainly happen, not only because you're ruled by Mercury, but you're an earth sign. And sometimes, of course, when you go online, you might read comments under YouTube videos. I'm not talking about my own, I'm talking about other people. And it doesn't even have to be YouTube, it could be Twitter or whatever. And people, if the subject of astrology comes up, you're always going to get that one person or maybe a few people who say astrology is BS, it's for stupid people. And sometimes I wonder if these people are Virgos. Because Virgo tends to be very skeptical. They want to have proof of it, and it's usually intellectual proof. More than anything else. They want to find a link. Show me a link, show me some documents, show me something that can prove it in writing. And the problem with all of that is that some things we just know. We might not have any proof, but we know that it's true. And I mean, that's how I perceive it, is that there are things that transcend the physical. Even when it comes to the existence of God, that have nothing to do with dogma, believing fairy tales or anything like that. We just sense that we might have read something, but even that isn't proof. If somebody has a past life regression or something like that. So it's really about whether you embrace wisdom or if you're just into the intellect. So let's see. What's coming in is the Ace of Pentacles. This could be a new job. See the portal. Stepping in, there's we have the Eight of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. Maybe this is some kind of breakthrough. Excuse me, the Eight of Wands might be a breakthrough that leads to this Ace of Pentacles, new job, maybe just having this kind of realization that you can't stay where you are in the workplace and you get a new offer. This can also be some money that it's like a windfall, and that could help you in another endeavor that you seek to get involved with, Virgo. Obviously, like I said, there's going to be a new moon in your sign. Now, this is going to be in mid-September. Maybe that is the catalyst for when things really start to speed up, like that Eight of Wands suggests. The outcome, Page of Cups, the fish. Now, that's an interesting thing. This is kind of like innocence, new beginnings with love. So that one thing I didn't say early on is that the King of Swords could be a judge rendering a decision. Yeah, because the Pisces is your 7th house of committed partnership, and with the full moon there on September 2nd, maybe you're awaiting your divorce, and that will lead to the Eight of Wands. They lead to these exciting new developments in the future. And the Page of Cups is just like a new love that is forming. Whether you know this person or not now, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's what the Four of Cups is that was somebody that you have met, that it has some potential for a long-lasting, foundational type of relationship. Yeah, possibly. Okay, that's what I have for you, Virgo. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, including natal chart interpretation that looks into the blueprint of this, the cosmic blueprint that you came into this life with, and what that could, speak of your potential, in addition to looking at some of the astrological themes, the transits of the next 12 months. You can check me out. The link is below. I'm at rainandmoonastrology.com. I also have a special going on with a full-length natal chart interpretation along with a full-length tarot reading called The Whole Enchilada at a special price for people that want to have both, but they don't want to pay for 2 full-length readings, so you can check that out. It really is quite a discount, huh? But in any case, I hope you have a great month. Take care. Bye.